Welcome back. So on this, remember on your logo unit, you guys are doing 6 drawings in total. Two of those drawings are exactly what I just did for you. So one of them is the Nike symbol. The second one is the Under Armour logo. And then you're going to use a couple of tools, which will be the video following this, to manipulate those symbols and turn those into something very different and very unique. Excuse me. Anyhow, I'm going to take you through the Under Armour symbol at this point. And again, remember that what we're getting at here is that any line, circle, and arc can be used to turn anything into anything else. Okay. I'm not going to pull up an Under Armour symbol, but if you would like to, one thing you can do, and I would recommend this if you guys have trouble, visualizing, is Google the Under Armour logo. Okay. At least for this, I would like you guys to study it. Not study it like you're studying for bio, but look at it and then try to make this an exercise in coming back and going back and forth to see what you can make out of it. Okay. If I click one of these, I do want to show you this, because on the logos that you have to do, the 4 that you have to do on your own that you've selected, and remember I said you can take one of mine, you can copy this image and you can come straight back to AutoCAD. You can zoom out and you're going to hit Control V, Control Victor. And you can drop it right down there. So on the images that you're going to try to duplicate or draw on your own, you can make it real small. And then you can just use any kind of AutoCAD tool, like you can move it and you can stick it right in the box, maybe next to where you're going to do your drawing. Okay, so if that helps you, by all means, go ahead and do it. But again, like I said, I would try to do these from your own memory, or challenge yourself a little bit like that. Okay, so how do I get started? I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get started, and I'm going to draw a circle. Okay, and I'm going to talk a little bit about distances. Okay, so in this case, remember you have these other layers, and construction is something that I call, I use that for a cheater line. It's basically a line to get somewhere else. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw a little cheater line like so. Okay, it's right off the quadrant and it comes right up top. And whatever this distance is, I want to go ahead and give myself a reference point down here. Now, again, these lines are nothing other than, so the distance that I had there, okay, on the top, I'm going to go ahead and try to just make a little horizontal line right down, and you can see what I'm talking about. The distance between here and here is about the same as that distance, okay? And that's just going to help me visualize something, okay? I don't ever recommend that you guys stretch lines in the way that I'm doing, but anyhow, this might help you out. So now I'm going to turn off of construction lines. I'm going to go back to my object line layer. So what I'm going to do now is over here at the quadrant at the 9 o'clock position, I'm going to connect a line from right there, and I'm going to bring it and snap it right to where it touched that yellow line, okay? If your object snaps are on, it's going to get that exact point. If they're not, if it's not set to perpendicular, you're guessing, okay? So we want to go ahead and click that and that. At this point, I don't really need this line anymore, but I can keep it there if it helps me. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab an arc. So I clicked arc. My first point is here. My second point, I'm going to make it, so again, this yellow line is helpful for me so I can know that I'm going above it. And I'm going to come out to about there, and then I'm going to come up to about here, okay? Now I want this exact same arc over here, and some people are going to go ahead and they're going to forget that they have a really handy tool, so they're going to be trying to do the same thing over on this side. And I can tell you right off the bat, this is wrong, okay? Because this arc is not the same as this arc. So don't do it the difficult way. Use this tool that you have right here, and we talked about it earlier, called mirror. So now I click the mirror tool. It asks me, what do I want to do? I want to select this object. and it's not asking me anything else. I've already given it the answer. So I right click, and now it says, what's the first point of my mirror line? It's going to be the center of this object. Okay, so from the 12 o'clock position, it could be I could use this, and they're all in a line. So I click there, and I could go up or down. It makes no difference as long as I'm parallel to the y-axis. You can see that green line with polar. As soon as I get close to it, it locks me in, and I click. And now it asks me very simply, do I want to erase the source object? My answer to that is no, I don't want to. So now this line is no longer needed for me, okay? So I'm just going to erase it. Gone. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to grab an arc, and I'm going to select. Now, I don't care if you go right to left or left to right, but you have to go in sequence. It's 3 clicks to use this. So I go arc, that's my first point. Here's my second point, the top of that little cheater line that I drew. And the third point is right here, okay? Now I'm done with the cheater line. I mentioned to you guys before that if you're trying to click something, right, I always select stuff. I just draw a box, bottom right corner, let go of the mouse button, come up and collect that. I want to get rid of that little yellow line, and it's really hard to get in there unless I zoom and everything else. So this trick, if I click on the upper left and come down to the upper right, that's AutoCAD using like a algorithm to suspect that the things that you are drawing are little tiny things that don't belong there, okay? So I erase it. I just hit E space to erase, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and I want to get rid of this bottom portion of the circle. So in this case, I'm going to trim. My shortcut to trim is TR, then the space bar. I right click, and I just want to get rid of that portion, okay? What I would recommend you do at this point is select the entire object, so it's all stuck together. Hit the letter J, and you see join pops up, so you can select it, or you can just hit the space bar. And now this is the point where you got to think and look back maybe at the Under Armour logo. And you realize that it is the mirror image, but there is negative space in here, right? There is this space between what they, I guess, would call the A and the U. Let's say it's a football shape, which means that the mirror line is not above the object and it's not on top of the object. It is, in fact, going through the object. So to give you an example of that, I'm just going to go ahead and copy this, okay? And again, the only thing we're doing now is using mirror, okay? Let's say I wanted to make that smaller, right? Remember my trick to making something smaller? I could select it. I could come up to the scale button. I can pick a point, and I can say, okay, I want that to be 75% of its size. So I type in 0.75, and it shrunk it, okay? So going back to the mirror line, what I was saying is I'm going to use the mirror tool. I'm going to select this object to mirror, and I right click. But if I flip it up here, it puts a space inside of there, and that is not what I want, right? The other thing that people will commonly do is they'll go ahead and they'll select the object, they'll come up to mirror, and they'll try to get like really close or even right on the top of the object, and they'll do this. And that is not the object either. There's no negative space in the middle. So we don't want that, okay? And we don't want the other where they're separated. What we want, I'm going to get rid of it. You don't want that anymore, okay? Should actually, you know what I should have done? I should have just done what I tell you guys all the time not to do, which is don't erase it if you screwed it up. So in this case, the first one I did, I said, oh, I made a mistake. I put space in between them. That's not the way it should look, right? In this one, I said, okay, I gave you an example of a mistake. Okay, you shouldn't be repeating my mistake, but I said, okay, I'm going over here, and that's not it either, right? Go back and look at the symbol. So what that tells me is that the mirror line is not off of the object. It's not on the object. It's inside of the object. So let's go back here. I'm going to select it. I'm going to choose mirror. And all I'm going to do is kind of ballpark how much space I think is in that overlap where that football shape was, right? So I'm going to click right here. And remember, it's going to make the space double, right? You can see that what the mirror line did is it doubled my space. And I can hit end space or select no, I don't want to delete the source object. And I only have one thing left. I got to come up to trim or TR spacebar. And I'm just going to go ahead and select the stuff that is overlapping. Okay. And I am pretty satisfied with that. I could go back and check myself and look at that. I can see that it is in fact wider through here. Okay. So maybe what should have happened is either I needed a bigger circle and smaller other stuff, or maybe it's that the line, in fact, that's cutting through here is not right at the quadrant of that circle. Okay. So meaning if I come back to AutoCAD, maybe the line isn't starting right here at that quadrant. Maybe it's actually coming up here somewhere. Okay. If I showed that to anybody and said, "What is that?" everybody would know that that's the Under Armour symbol. Everybody would know this is a Nike logo. Okay, so get two that you like. What I want to see is something this quality, and going back to the Nike video or symbol, I want to see something this quality. Okay. And again, it might take you what, 1, 2, 3. It could take you a bunch of times to get there. But guys, this is, you're not buying expensive canvas and using up paint. Okay, so do your best. I can't wait to see them. And remember, these two are going to be required. So this logo and this logo are required. I am at this point going to just go ahead and delete these because I'm very satisfied with these two. And we're going to go ahead and in the next video take this and turn it into something else.